Apple just announced the new M5 iPad Pro, the M5 MacBook Pro, and the M5 Vision Pro, but in this video, I want to focus solely on the M5 iPad Pro, which actually comes with way more changes than just a new chip. So here are not 5, not 10, but 15 changes you should know before placing your order. Just like you should know about our amazing new wallpapers that look great in 8K on any device, especially on the new iPad Pro. Link down below to get our app wallpapers for free. Okay, so number 1, we have the new M5 chip, which actually comes with a pretty good performance uplift. Apple claims that the M5 offers up to 15% faster CPU performance and up to 45% faster GPU performance. Now, in the leaked Geekbench benchmarks, it scored around 12% more than the M4 on the CPU side and around 36% more on the GPU side. This was when comparing the 9-core base variants. Still, that's a major improvement, especially on the graphics side. Number 2, the M5 chip also brings some massive improvements when it comes to neural processing. Now we've got a dedicated neural accelerator in every GPU core, just like with the A19 Pro chip, and it delivers over 4 times the peak GPU compute power compared to the M4, and over 6 times the peak GPU compute compared to the M1. Of course, that's for AI tasks. That is a gigantic gain. Number 3, the base model, the 256, now comes with 12 GB of RAM, and so does the 512. That's a massive upgrade from the previous 8 that used to be in the base M4 iPad Pro. Now, if you get a 1TB or 2TB model, then you can get 16 GB of RAM, but you cannot get more than that. This has been the case ever since the M1 iPad Pro, by the way. And number 4, aside from just more RAM, the RAM is also faster. Specifically, the memory bandwidth went up quite a lot, from 120 GB per second to 153 on the M5. In everyday use, you probably won't notice a big difference unless you're really into heavy multitasking, but having more memory bandwidth is always a good thing because it helps reduce the latency and speeds up how quickly the CPU can access the data. So in simple terms, it means the iPad can read and write more data at once, which would lead to smoother performance and a better overall experience. Number 5, upgraded charging speeds. Even though the M4 iPad Pro already had some pretty fast charging, you could say, about 35 watts from a 67-watt charger in our testing, the new M5 iPad Pro now supports up to 60 watts of charging. This enables it to charge from 0 to 50% in around 30 minutes. Now, of course, Apple does recommend their own 40-watt dynamic power adapter with 60 watts of maximum peak charging. Very weird name, I know. But really, any charger that's over 60 watts would charge it just as fast, such as any of these ones from our sponsor, UGREEN. Links down below. Number 6, upgraded wireless connectivity. You see, Apple has introduced their own N1 wireless chip with the iPhone 17 lineup, and now they are bringing that to the M5 iPad Pro. This new chip supports Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and of course, the latest Thread connectivity. And if you opt for the cellular version of the iPad, you also get the new ZONEofTECH chip, which offers 5G speeds with improved efficiency. I personally just ordered a 13-inch 512GB version with cellular, so I'm curious to test out the new ZONEofTECH chip on the road, and of course to finally upgrade from my 2018 iPad Pro, which I've been using ever since it launched. Now, upgrading to cellular does cost an extra $200 or £200 here in the UK, which is still fairly excessive. Like, there's no way the ZONEofTECH chip costs $200 to manufacture. There's not even a SIM card slot anymore, which has been the case for a few years now, so it's all eSIM, which means that it's no different to manufacturing the Wi-Fi only iPad aside from having that ZONEofTECH chip inside. And number 7, if you like to use your iPad Pro dock to a monitor, it now supports 120Hz as opposed to 60Hz on the M4 iPad Pro, and that's using a Thunderbolt cable. That's really cool, but I guess all we need now is a new studio display that's 120Hz. So I'm hoping for that rumored Studio Display 2 with 120Hz mini LED to come out very soon. Number 8, if you buy the iPad in the US, you would still get a charger in the box. Now, this is just a basic 20-watt USB-C charger, so not the fancy 60-watt dynamic charger that would fast charge your iPad, but still, that's in the box. Now, if you live in the UK or Europe, you won't be getting a charger at all, just a cable. Apple stopped shipping a charger last year with the M4 iPad Pro, and there are no more stickers either. But here's a cool tip. If you're buying an iPad from a physical Apple store, you can actually ask for some stickers, which they will give you for free. Number 9, you can also opt in for a Nano Texture display option when you order your iPad Pro, just like with the M4 version and the M4 MacBook Pro. Now, this does cost $100, but if you use your iPad outdoors a lot, it's a huge upgrade. Now keep in mind that the picture quality, specifically when you're reading articles on a white background, they would not be as clear, they would be a bit fuzzy, so that quality would decrease. But when it comes to reflections, it's just a night and day difference, so if you use your iPad outdoors a lot, I do think this is a really good thing to get. Oh, and you even get a special polishing cloth included in the box, so that's cool, but there's one issue. You have to buy the 1TB or 2TB versions of the iPad Pro to even be able to add this $100 Nano Texture upgrade. Number 10, 2TB is still the maximum storage you can add to the iPad Pro, which is the same limit we've had since the M1 model. Although this storage is expected to be faster now. However, on the MacBook Pro, the M5, you can actually add up to 4 TB of storage, which is strange that we've got it on the MacBook Pro, but not the iPad Pro. We will have a separate video on the M5 MacBook Pro coming soon, so make sure that you're subscribed for that. Number 11, let's talk about the weird Apple Pencil compatibility. You see, ever since Apple introduced the Apple Pencil Pro last year with the M4 iPad Pro and the M2 iPad Air, things have gotten pretty confusing. The new iPad Pro only works with the Apple Pencil Pro and the USB-C Apple Pencil, not the second-gen Apple Pencil, since the magnets are placed differently. The M3 iPad Air and the A17 Pro iPad mini also share the same setup, but if you go for the 11th gen base iPad, you'll actually need either the USB-C Pencil or the original from 2015. So the original supported on that, but not the Apple Pencil 2. Number 12, if you wait a bit, you'll be able to soon buy a refurbished M4 iPad Pro directly from Apple. Sure, you're missing out on 4 GB of extra RAM, you're also getting a slower chip, and, older wireless standards, older Wi-Fi and Bluetooth standards, and slower charging, but aside from that, it's basically the exact same iPad. And from my experience, the refurbished M4 iPad Pro should be available at roughly a £200 or $250 or so discount compared to the new M5, which I think is a pretty good deal, although you will have to wait for a couple more months like I said. Number 13, did you guys know that this new iPad Pro is more expensive than the M4 MacBook Air, which you can grab for around £879 here in the UK on Amazon. And if you also buy a Magic Keyboard and an Apple Pencil Pro, you would end up spending £1,777, literally double compared to a MacBook Air, which is just crazy. Sure, you do get a much nicer screen with the iPad, which is also a touchscreen, but you also get an inferior operating system, 4 GB of less RAM, and a significantly worse battery life. And if you don't already own an iPad or a MacBook, I would just say just pick the M4 MacBook Air. You'll thank me later. Number 14, if you go on Apple's website, now you can clearly see how many cores you're getting and also how much RAM. Previously, it would only show you the storage capacity, but how many people knew that if you pick the 1TB version, you would also get an extra performance core and double the RAM? So I'm really happy that Apple made this clear. And number 15, low effort. I think the M5 iPad Pro is such a low effort upgrade. Like, Apple didn't even bother to change the wallpaper on the box of the iPad. Like, how long does that take, designing a new wallpaper? Well, it takes a long time for us because we do care about the details. Link for wallpapers down below. Anyways, we are getting a slightly faster chip, more RAM, better Wi-Fi, cellular, and Bluetooth, but that's about it. I was honestly hoping for more. At least the new front camera that the iPhone 17's introduced. So with that being said, should you pick up the new M5 iPad Pro? Well, I would say maybe, but only if you've got an older iPad, like, in my case, I'm coming from a 2018 iPad Pro with the A12X chip. If you have an M1 iPad Pro or anything newer, I would say probably wait for a bit longer. And if you don't already own an iPad, just pick up the iPad Air, as I think it offers the best value for money. And if you really need promotion, grab a refurbished M2 or M4 iPad Pro. Or like I said, an M4 MacBook Air, that's by far the best option. But anyway, let me know down below if you are planning on grabbing one, and stay tuned for my hands-on with the M5 iPad Pro as soon as we get it next week. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.